Welcome to The Read Along,
a mini book club for your ears.
I'm your host, Scott.
I'm your other host, Anita.
And join us on a journey through a good book,
one chapter at a time.
Do you like talking about movies? Do you like talking about mediocre movies? Do you like talking about how you could have fixed mediocre movies? Well, I certainly do, and you can listen to me, Scott C. Bourgeois, along with my co-hosts Greg Beaver and Liam Creswick, as we give our notes, and I have some notes. You can follow it now on your podcatcher of choice, or support it by visiting patreon.com/IHaveSomeNotes. Sometimes you end up recording when you're very tired.
Because sometimes you've done something foolish.
And sometimes you've just had a bad night. Anita went out to see a late show. We're deep into fringe times as we're recording.
Merry Theater Christmas, everyone.
And stayed out way too late with some friends.
I am not young enough to stay out as late as I did last night.
And I mean, functionally it's fine that you did this because I was home with the kids, so it's not like they were unattended. You didn't have work this morning, so you could stay out late, but you did have to wake up to help out with the kids for a bit.
Yes.
But just haven't had a chance to lay back down since then.
No, so I've got like half as much sleep as I would normally want, and way not enough sleep for what I actually need.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was up with the kids, and they went down at a reasonable hour, and I busied myself for the evening and then went to bed at what I thought was a reasonable time. But unfortunately then kind of tossed and turned and couldn't get comfortable because our little girl crawled into bed with me and starfished across Anita's half of the bed, and I just had feet on me all night.
Yeah.
And so I didn't end up falling asleep until after Anita came home in the wee hours of the morning, despite my best efforts.
To be fair, I did move the starfish child.
Yes, which I think finally helped me fall asleep.
Yeah, I put her back in her own bed so that I could fit in my bed and sleep.
So neither of us got a particularly good sleep last night, and we are recording in a loopy pre-nap moment. So if this is a weird episode, I'm just going to apologize for that up front.
We might not be loopy. I'm surprisingly alert, all things considered. I expect the crash to come hour or two, right? Where my body will be like, oh, we are out of energy now. You did not charge these batteries fully.
Yeah, Nita's intention to spend the day fringing, I think, is going to be replaced with spending the day napping.
At least a period of self-care
before
I go and do something stupid all over again.
Prior to the kids coming home. But at any rate, we are going to record. We're forging onward. We're going to take a look first at a recap of chapter 32 of our novel, in which Jacob is finally revealed to be the Whistler, something that we knew all along. I jokingly suggested he might be the Whistler in like the third episode.
And then you sincerely felt he was the Whistler's few chapters later, I think. Here we are.
He explains a little bit about his motivation and what he's up to. He gets rightfully and righteously chastised by both Cornelia and Mallory, and then gets hit squarely on the head with a lead pipe by Diana, who appears in the room, and we'll find out how she does as we move into chapter 33 of The Undetectables by Courtney Smyth.
So this is the dramatic escape scene.
Yes.
Right? That's what this whole chapter is, to sum up this whole chapter.
More or less, yeah. Diana first starts by wasting a tremendous amount of time. Shocking amounts of time. She makes a rookie mistake here in that they've nullified the killer, and then she spends like 20 minutes loquaciously talking in the room with the killer instead of all of them immediately escaping.
It's true.
Giving the Whistler, Jacob, enough time to come to.
Yes.
Which is a problem.
Well, it will be.
Yeah.
In a moment.
But at any rate, one of the things that she does spell out while chastising them, because she was like, look, I knew what was going to happen. You were both going to be like, ooh, we should just kill ourselves so that he can't put us in the ritual. And of course you were doing that because you're idiots and I hate you and I love you and I'm not going to let you do that.
This is a wonderful thing I wrote in my notes, that they have this, like, heart to heart to heart, because now it's 3 of them.
Yeah.
And Diana's like, no, it has to be the 3 of us or nothing. And I wrote in my notes, Ride or Diana.
Yeah, it's Ride or Diana's great way to put it, because she makes it clear, like, either we all get out of here or we all die together, because I'm not continuing this without you.
Yeah,
two.
I'm not doing this without you because you're my best friends and I love you. And how dare you consider doing this without me?
Indeed.
So then they were like, okay, how do we get out of this magical empathy cage?
Well, first of all, how did Diana even get there? And it turns out she magicked herself in.
Yeah.
She was able to figure out how Jacob was traveling through the witch lights and managed to teleport herself through them into the cage.
I thought you had to be a ghost to get through a witch light.
Well,
like Theodore did.
Because we know, well, number one, he transported Beckett through the witch lights. So
oh, that's right.
So we already know physical people can travel. Number two, we had figured, or rather they had figured out, that Jacob must be traveling through the witch lights at some point.
See, and I thought it was just his magic going through the witch lights.
We had supposed that as well, but it's very possible he was physically transporting himself.
Yeah, oh, well, he must have been,
because
right? Because now that we've reached this point.
And we know that physical beings can. And now Diana has figured out how to do it herself, which, according to Mallory, makes sense. Diana is the most outside-of-the-box thinker when it comes to using her magic.
Yeah.
And is very good at coming up with new spells on the fly.
Yes, that's also true.
So that's what she did here. And as she put it, like, she didn't want to wade through a sea of beetles. So
no, I wouldn't want to either.
She has appeared barefoot, having lost her knife shoes in a giant mantis, and walloped Jacob in the head with what she hopes is not a load-bearing pipe.
I hope that as well.
Which might have been, actually, the way things go later on in this chapter.
It's true. Okay, so they're trying to magic they can't magic their way out.
No, the empathy cage saps them of their ability to use magic.
Yeah.
And it'll be, as Jacob puts it later in the chapter, a while before it comes back.
Yes.
But they need to figure out a way out, and they can't jimmy the lock.
Well, here's the thing. Fortunately, Mallory has a smart brain.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, Jacob has the keys.
Yeah, guys, sometimes the simplest solution is right there, and she reaches into his pocket and pulls out the keys.
Digs around, pulls out the keys, and they're like, aha! So out they go.
The only problem is getting through a wave of beetles.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of relate to this because I frequently joke about fire being the answer to things. But to Diana, that's actually the answer to things.
Yeah.
Twice now. She's like, we got bugs? The answer is fire.
Yeah, and even Cornelia's like, yeah, it's a pretty effective way of getting through them.
It is, except now they have...
angry flaming beetles.
Angry flaming beetles. Diana has a great line. I'll see your beetles and raise you a wall of beetles but on fire.
The good news is beetles don't have to burn long to burn out, and they do manage to burn themselves a path. But at this point, as I mentioned, Diana spent so much time talking to them that Jacob has come to.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, don't go. I need you. Don't you understand?
I need you to come over here and die. Why are you leaving?
I want to make you die beautifully for my art. But they're already running at this point.
Yeah. Well, they basically have to hold out until the beetles burn themselves out.
Yeah. Now,
right? So they're kind of doing that huddle away from the fire thing, trying to last long enough.
Yeah, and an injured Jacob, who's in the empathy cage, doesn't seem able or willing to attack them at this point, so he doesn't.
Because they left him in the cage, so I assume he is still being magically affected.
Well, it's implied that, like, magic items aren't necessarily affected, because Diana's magic little bag of holding doesn't seem to have been affected by it.
Well, but she calls it trick magic?
Yeah, which might be one of the things that Jacob has been using.
Maybe.
Because we don't know his full magical capabilities at this moment.
And we do know, like, I don't totally understand the magic science in this world, even now at the end of the book.
Mm-hmm.
But there are clearly different types of magic.
Yeah.
So obviously the empathy cage is only good against certain types of magic.
Yeah, specifically, as I understand it, the ability to cast spells. But, like, spells that are stored, magic items, as it were, might not be affected.
Yeah.
And trick magic seems to be that kind of magic. Like, it's been mentioned that that's the kind of magic even an apparent can use.
Yeah, well, she said all it takes is someone to slap her backpack,
yeah.
right? So even an apparent could do that because it's based on the smack,
yeah.
right? Not the magical person making it open. So anyway, her magical backpack with all their supplies and a bunch of water.
The juice box, actually. But,
bless her.
But they make their way through the flaming beetles. They make their way into the hallway with Catherine, who tries to stop them. And they just, like, run past. And Mallory's like, I'm so sorry. Stop that guy. We'll come back to help you later. I promise.
I promise.
And Catherine's like, yeah, okay. And does slow down Jacob.
I am surprised at that. Because based on our earlier interaction with Catherine, you'd think that she would be very against it. There would be a lot of, no, don't leave me. Everyone else has left me. But she's just like, yeah, great. I'll fight for this guy. You better come back. It just seems weird.
No, Mallory made a good impression on her. And
I hope so.
It certainly seems as though maybe Jacob is not someone she likes. So at any rate, she does move to stand in Jacob's way and at least slow him so that they're able to get through into the mayoral offices. But at this point, everything's going haywire. Samhain is upon us. The mayoral offices are full of magical wards for this kind of contingency, and they're all going off at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everything's going wrong.
It was clearly a load-bearing pipe because things are physically and metaphorically collapsing around them.
Well, and they just lit a room full of beetles on fire. Like, there's ghosts that are angry. The building itself is reacting negatively.
Well, because no one has given it a blood sacrifice,
Yeah.
which is, it's something it's demanded twice now.
It's very the climax of Encanto falling apart right now.
Yes, absolutely.
And it culminates with them, like, making it to the front door and then an explosion just throwing them every which way.
Right?
Mallory's last vision is a disemboweled mantis flying through the air. So
Charred, I think.
Yeah.
A charred, disemboweled mantis.
And that is where the chapter ends, with everyone being knocked out and probably, let's be honest, ending up back in Jacob's clutches next chapter.
Possibly? I'm not sure. Our countdown to Samhain is just under 2 hours.
Yeah, they have called the police, but they're not expecting the police to show up because of how dangerous the building is.
Well, yeah.
In this moment.
Right?
So,
There's a reason it's been, cordoned off until Samhain is over.
yeah, though we have supposed that might be due to Jacob's meddling.
Oh, probably.
But, I mean, the building was already dangerous.
Yeah, it doesn't change the fact that the building is dangerous. How it got dangerous doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, so we'll have to see where things go.
Yes. I want to talk about Jacob.
Okay.
For a moment here. His madness gets really interesting here because there's like a surface level where he doesn't understand why they want to leave. Like, he thinks that they should want what he wants to be part of this ritual, of this art. Like, I don't understand why you don't want to die. You are part of this.
You showed up.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that it was to be part of this.
Yeah, and that is really fascinating to me because most villains know that you don't want to be there as the hero, right? But this one, he's like, no, you clearly want to be part of this even though you're antagonizing me. Why are you running away? Wonderful, delicious madness that I don't at all comprehend. And it's going to be fascinating to see what happens next with him because he's kind of gone off the rails.
He was already off the rails. But
Well, further than off the rails.
it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to his plan being interrupted. It hasn't been necessarily stopped at this moment.
Not necessarily, no.
But his plans are being disrupted in a way that he clearly wasn't anticipating, because everything seems to have been meticulously planned up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting, again, to see how he rolls with that.
Yeah.
Assuming he hasn't been consumed by
Flaming beetles?
flaming beetles in an exploding building. But we'll have to find out how that goes as we move into chapter 34 of the novel, which you'll want to read up on in time for next week. In the meantime, of course, as always, you can give us a little rating and a review because that helps us out.
Oh, and we always appreciate it. We like to hear from people.
Indeed. You can also reach out to us via social media.
Oh my goodness. Pick your poison. We are on Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, and Goodreads. Not in that order. We are at the Read Along on any of them that need an at.
You can also at us an email.
Absolutely. We are thereadalong@gmail.com.
And with that said, as always, we love you very much, and we'll see you next time.
I'm going to go take a nap now.
Thank you for joining us on The Read Along with your hosts, Anita and Scott Bourgeois. All Read Along music is by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Cover art is by Aaron Beaver. Be sure to join us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Read Along, and check out our group on Goodreads.com.